When I was 10, my older brother took me to the river to catch fish. Pointing at the rushing current, he said, "The fish here are big, you go in first, little sister, and I'll bring the basket." I believed him and stepped in, only to be swept away instantly. I reached out, crying for help, but my brother just ran off, delighted. Later, I was abducted and sold, drifting from place to place for 8 long years before I finally found my way home. At that time, my brother was holding the hand of the imposter heiress, sitting in our parents' luxury car. The imposter heiress covered her mouth to stifle a giggle, looking me over with disdain. "So ugly and filthy, she must be a beggar's daughter." In the end, the whole family disowned me, allowing the imposter heiress to have me killed. That's when I realized my brother had done it on purpose all along, just to make room for the fake heiress in our family. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day we went fishing in the river, staring at the whirlpool in the current. I called out to my brother, "Come quick, I found something good." Watching my brother run over excitedly, I smiled with satisfaction. "This time, it's your turn to die. 1. The fish here are huge, you go on ahead, little sister, I'll bring the basket." Cyan pointed at the rushing current and said the same words he had in his past life. In my past life, Cyan suddenly told my parents he wanted to go play in the countryside. My parents, having no time, naturally refused. He threw a tantrum for days. My parents had no choice and finally had the nanny take the 2 of us. I was only 10 that year, completely unaware of the darkness in human nature. Led by Cyan to that wide river, I listened to what he said and then skipped over there without a care. The result was that I was swept away by the raging current. On the brink of death, I was found by traffickers who promptly sold me off. I lived a hellish life on the outside. It wasn't until 8 years later that I managed to find my way back home, guided only by the faintest of memories. But there was no longer a place for me in that home. Due to the near drowning, my mind has never been quite right, and my reactions are slow. At first, my parents were relieved to have me back, but gradually, they started to look down on me. On top of that, the fake heiress's persona is just so perfect. Even I, as dense as I am, can tell that my parents like her more than me, a lot more. My brother doesn't like me either. They even saw me as a burden, so much so that when the fake heiress had me killed later, they barely reacted. Instead, they helped her cover it up. The 4 of them continued on as a happy, loving family. It was only after I died that I learned the truth. The fake heiress and Cyan had known each other all along. She was the one who incited him to get rid of me so she could take my place in the family. And Cyan actually did it. He took me to the river, not for fun at all, but with the clear intention of killing me. How utterly devious. I didn't drown, but I died in the end all the same. Yet, in the end, heaven took pity on me and granted me a second chance. Cyan had already started running back, but seeing I wasn't moving, he came back and pushed me in that direction. "Little sister, hurry up and go. Can't you see all those fish over there?" I dodged out of the way, glanced at the even swifter current upstream, and ran over there instead. "Brother, there must be even more fish here." Seeing this, Cyan was delighted and hurried over. "Then you should get down quickly. I'll go get you." "Brother, look, what's that?" I pointed towards the middle of the river. "Oh my gosh, it's huge." Cyan followed where I was pointing, leaning forward slightly. Where is it?" The ground beneath our feet suddenly gave way. I scrambled back to get out of the way, but Cyan was completely focused on where I was pointing. Utterly oblivious to the impending danger, he slid right down the loose earth, tumbling into the great river. In an instant, the raging current swallowed him up, and he vanished without a trace. I stood on the bank, watching it all unfold with a cold gaze. "Goodbye, brother. I just wonder if you'll be as lucky as I was in my past life and manage to survive, too." When Mom and Dad found out about Cyan's accident, they dropped everything at the company and drove straight here, making the trip in just over 2 hours. The nanny was crying on the side. "I don't know what happened. I just went to the bathroom for a moment, and the young master was gone." My mother swayed on her feet, nearly collapsing. I thought to myself, in my past life when the accident happened, my mother must have shed tears for me right away too, but her tears were worthless, and I didn't want them. My father bent down, placed his hands on my shoulders, his eyes brimming with tears. "Ningning, tell me what happened. Where's your brother?" I pointed to the spot Cyan had shown me earlier. "I don't know," I said, My brother told me the fish there were big and plentiful. He told me to go catch some while he went back to the car to get a basket for me, so I went over to look at the fish, but my brother never came back. My mom suddenly called out, Lao Ji, come here quick, you have to see this. My dad went over immediately, and I followed him. My mother pointed at the patch of loose soil and cried, Cyan must have fallen from here. He fell in. I watched my parents weeping in each other's arms by the river, my heart utterly calm. Go ahead and cry, you'll have plenty more to cry about later. My father got some people to drag the river. They searched for 2 days but found no one. Everyone said Cyan's chances of survival were slim. Deep down, my parents knew it too. The river was so swift and treacherous that even a grown adult might not make it out, let alone Cyan. After we got home, my mother cried her eyes out every day, filled with regret for being so preoccupied with work that she hadn't come with us. My father sat off to the side, smoking one cigarette after another. Hearing her, he tried to console her. What's gone is gone. Perhaps it was just fate. I gently touched my mom's face with my little hand. Mom, please don't cry. I don't want you to be sad. My mom looked at me with tears in her eyes, then suddenly broke down again, holding me tight in her arms as she sobbed. Ning Ning, you must be okay, you're all I have left now. I patted my mom's back softly with my little hand. Mom, I'll always be here with you. My father stubbed out his unfinished cigarette in the ashtray and called me over. Ning, your brother is gone. From now on, you're the only child left in our family. My mother sobbed in protest. Why are you telling Ning this? Of course she's heartbroken that her brother is gone. The truth is, I wasn't heartbroken at all, honestly. It wouldn't be the worst thing if Cyan died like this, even if it lets him off too easy. I'd rather he didn't die, though. I hope he suffers like I did in my past life before he goes. My father shook his head. Ning is old enough now. There are some things she should know. With tears in his eyes, he asked me, Ning, do you understand what death means? I nodded. I know. It means he's gone. I'll never see him again. Mom, Dad, I don't have a brother anymore. My parents started crying again, but they still tried to comfort me. The truth is, I'm glad. I really don't need any comforting. 3. My parents still refused to give up and searched for Cyan for a few more days. Cyan was truly gone for good. Perhaps he was dead, or perhaps, like me in my past life, he suffered brain damage from drowning, lost his memory, and couldn't find his way home. Once again, my parents left early in the morning and didn't return until after dark, holding the documents my dad's assistant had delivered. I said, Dad, Uncle Chen asked me to give these to you. Look, Dad, I said, pointing at a section. I checked this part, and I remember seeing this story on the news. The numbers they reported are different from what's written here. Hearing this, my dad took the papers, examined them carefully, did a quick search online, and then chuckled. It's definitely different. These people are so careless. They misplaced the decimal point. Then she patted my head, her expression seeming much more relaxed. You're so clever, Ning, to have spotted such a big mistake. Well, of course, having been reborn, I did come back with a few advantages. My mother also nodded with relief, her gaze towards me gentler than before. It's clear she's given up all hope of finding Cyan. Now, she's pinning all her hopes on me. With a heavy sigh, my mother said, Lao Ji, we can't neglect the company for much longer. We should go back to work starting tomorrow. My father was silent for a moment, then nodded. You're right, even if we tag along every day, we're not much help. Let them keep searching. Just like that, my parents put aside the search for Cyan and returned to work the very next day. I have to admire their resilience. They managed to move on so quickly after losing their son. As for me, I went back to school. In my past life, my mind was slow to process things. Even though I attended school for a while later on, I didn't learn a thing. In this life, I'm picking up my studies from the 2nd grade, and surprisingly, I haven't forgotten what I learned before. In my past life, before the accident, my academic performance had always been excellent, so I have confidence in my mind. Besides, my soul is that of an adult now. I gradually regained my memories before my previous death, and my mind has been improving bit by bit. My brain definitely works faster than that of an average child, for I had just sat down in the classroom when my desk mate asked me, Ning, I thought you weren't coming to class. I've been so bored these past few days with no one to hang out with. She was Wang Man. Oh, right. Now I remember, my best friend from elementary school. She glanced at the door and suddenly said, "Why is she here again?" I turned around and saw the figure standing at the classroom door. Chin Cece, it's her. Seeing me, Chin Cece gasped. Still too young to hide her feelings, she hurried in and asked, "Where's your brother?" This Chin Cece hadn't been adopted by our family yet. She bore none of the refined elegance and haughtiness she possessed in my previous life when she stood before me, but I will never forget what she said the moment she saw me when I returned home in my past life. "So ugly and filthy, she must be a beggar's daughter. She stole my place, built herself up with everything that should have been mine, and then looked down from her high horse to mock my suffering, and in the end, she was the death of me." I instinctively clenched my fists, stopping myself from slapping her right then and there. A slap is letting her off far too easy. Ji Cyan's fate is unknown right now, but I'm certain of one thing, both she and Ji Cyan are doomed. I took a silent, deep breath and said flatly, "Haven't you seen the news? My brother is dead." The color drained from Chin Cece's face. "Dead?" she uttered in disbelief. "He's really dead." I nodded. "Yeah, he took me fishing, but ended up falling into the river and drowning himself." Seeing the look of near despair on Chin Cece's face, I added, "But it's not certain. What if my brother got lucky? It's been days, though. If he were alive, why wouldn't he have come home?" Chin Cece hung her head, repeating the same two words over and over. "He's dead, he's dead." I asked, feigning innocence, "Sis, are you and my brother very close friends?" Chin Cece suddenly raised her head, a cold, venomous hatred slowly gathering in the depths of her eyes. Did she think I couldn't see it? I let out a sharp, "Ah," and pointed at her, exclaiming loudly, "Sis, your eyes are terrifying. Are you trying to kill me?" Chin Cece froze for a moment, then clapped a hand over my mouth. "Don't you dare talk nonsense." Just then, our homeroom teacher walked in. Spotting Chin Cece, she immediately approached and asked, "Who are you looking for, dear?" Chin Cece shot me a warning glare, released my mouth, and said to the teacher with a sweet smile, "I'm here to see Ji Anning. I'm a classmate of his older brother. Teacher, she's trying to kill me." I pointed at Chin Cece, forcing out a couple of tears. Chin Cece was startled and instinctively snapped at me. "What nonsense are you talking about?" The homeroom teacher pursed her lips and said sternly, "That's enough. You're from the middle school section, right? Don't come loitering around the elementary school section if you have no business here. Hurry up and leave." Chin Cece gritted her teeth. However unwilling she was, she had no choice but to leave like that. The homeroom teacher said a few words to comfort me, then class began. 5 in the evening. My parents came to pick me up from school. Ever since Ji Cyan was gone, I'd become their one and only, and they're terrified of anything happening to me, even though, compared to how they treated me in my past life, I still feel utterly disgusted. I can still play along with this charade. "Mom, Dad, what are you?" "Hello, Uncle G, Auntie G," a sweet, clear voice suddenly rang out, cutting me off. I turned around and saw Chin Cece, dressed in a blue school uniform, walking over in a few quick steps, her ponytail swaying behind her in a picture-perfect image of youthful vitality. She stopped in front of my parents and gave a slight bow. "My name is Chin Cece. I'm Ji Cyan's classmate and a good friend of his." A flicker of pain crossed my parents' expressions, but they maintained their smiles. "Hello." Chin Cece took another step forward, her expression turning pitiful. "It's like this, Uncle and Auntie G. Since I'm an orphan, Cyan promised he would support me financially, but I haven't been able to see him lately." "So, didn't I already tell you my brother is dead? Anyway, I'm just a kid." The phrase, "kids say the darndest things," fits perfectly here. "Whatever you say now, it's not like we can ask my brother to confirm it." Chin Cece took a quiet, deep breath and smiled at me. "Ning Ning, about your brother before. I went over to my mom, Dad. She was glaring at me again today. It was like she wanted to kill me. I'm scared." "Don't talk nonsense," Chin Cece retorted quietly. "Don't go making false accusations." I looked up at my parents, their expressions softened a little. "I suppose he wanted to do one last thing for Ji Cyan," I quickly chimed in. "Besides, it's not like you're a good student. Don't think I don't know. I tugged on my mom's arm. Mom, instead of sponsoring her, why not sponsor the top student in the junior high division? He's an orphan too. It's that boy named Su. He's always getting praised at the school assemblies. Chin Cece didn't dare to do anything to me in front of my parents. She could only play the victim while pleading her case. But Cyan promised me, Mom, Dad, I just want to sponsor Su. I said petulantly, do you only like my brother and not me? What nonsense are you talking? My mother gave my head a light tap. She clearly wanted to scold me, but remembering we were in public, she held back to save me the embarrassment. Fine, you win. I'll go talk to the principal about it right now. My parents took me to see the principal as we passed by Chin Cece. I shot her a triumphant look. That arrogant, challenging glare was payback. She'd looked at me exactly the same way in my past life. The look in Chin Cece's eyes was pure venom. I knew she wanted me dead, but she won't get the chance in this lifetime. 6. Su was summoned to the principal's office. The 15-year-old boy was already over 6 feet tall, even in his plain school uniform. He still stood out as the most striking presence in the crowd. The principal told Su about my family's offer to sponsor him. He didn't show much of a reaction, just gave my parents a nod and said in a cool, detached voice, thank you. As far as I'm concerned, the money could go to anyone, just not to Chin Cece. Su was already a top student, destined for great things. I'm not looking for any payback. I just consider it a good deed to build up some karma. I just hope my quest for revenge in this life goes a little smoother, but in doing so, I had completely made an enemy of Chin Cece. She was beautiful, the school's reigning beauty queen, and had the entire junior high section wrapped around her finger. One day after class, Wang Man and I were on our way to the restroom when a group of boys in junior high uniforms cornered us. This looks like a setup for revenge on behalf of Chin Cece. One of the boys grabbed me by the collar. So you're the little brat who bullied Cece? A little elementary school kid picking on a middle schooler. Who gave you the nerve? Wang Man's voice trembled with fear, but she still tried to protect me. Don't you dare bully Ningning, or I'll tell the teacher. I gave Wang Man a reassuring smile, then turned to the boys with a grin. Big brothers, do you know who my parents are? Before he could even get out the line, my father is Zhang. A basketball suddenly smacked him right on the head. The guy turned around, cursing under his breath, and I followed his gaze. Su strode over a few steps, his face still expressionless, and said coolly, picking on elementary school kids now. Su held a lot of sway at school. Even the principal thought highly of him. Naturally, those guys didn't dare act up in front of him and just slunk away. Su picked up the basketball and got ready to leave as well. Brother, I said, pulling Wang Man over with a bright smile. Thank you, brother. Su looked at me with an utterly placid gaze. You're welcome. So cold. Brother, would you have time to tutor me and my classmate later? Afraid he'd say no, I quickly added Wang Man's name and asked again, is that okay? Su just glanced at me and said, sure. After all, for a top student like him, tutoring 2 elementary school kids would be a piece of cake. An absolute breeze. 7-10 years later, Wang Man and I were walking hand in hand across the university campus, led by none other than Su. He had already graduated by then, though, and had long since started his own company. Back then, I just didn't want to give the money to Chin Cece, and I also wanted to annoy her a little, so I picked Su on a whim. I never expected to gain so much. Su is a genius among geniuses, no matter what he does. Wang Man sighed as she walked. Brother Su, if it weren't for you tutoring me back then, how could I have gotten into the same university as a top student like you? Thank you. Thank you so much. Su was walking on my other side, still pulling my suitcase. Hearing this, he chuckled softly. Then you should thank Ningning. Wang Man threw her arms around me. Yeah, I should be the one thanking you. If you hadn't been too shy to ask Su for tutoring yourself, afraid he'd say no, and insisted on dragging me along, how could I have gotten into such a good university? I couldn't help but roll my eyes at her. Don't act all innocent after getting the benefit. Su dropped us off at the dorm. He had just finished helping me set up my bed when his phone rang. After hanging up, he said to me, Ningning, I have to go back to the office for a meeting. I'll head out now and come by later. I walked him out and said, don't come over tonight. I'm staying in the dorm. he has an apartment near the school. Over the summer, he bought all my things and had them ready there. My parents also said that if I didn't like the dorm, I could stay at Jo Su's place, but I truly cherish my college years. I no longer have to envy Ji Cyan and Chin Cece like I did in my past life, and I get to learn all sorts of things. After seeing Jo Su off, I returned to the dorm and introduced myself to my new roommates. Right then, my phone started ringing. The person on the other end of the line said, "Miss, those two have boarded the train. They bought tickets to Kyoto." A faint smile touched my lips. "Just follow my lead. You don't need to do a thing." After hanging up, I stared coldly at the phone screen. Ji Cyan and Chin Cece are coming back. All these years, I never gave up searching for Ji Cyan. Even if he's dead, I need to know for sure. I retraced the rough path from my past life, and I actually found him. My people found Ji Cyan when he was already 18. They even sent me a video. In the video, Ji Cyan was nothing like the tall, noble figure from his past life. He was dark-skinned, skinny, and quite short, looking barely over 170 centimeters. Like a poorly evolved black monkey. At that moment, he was tied to a post, and the trafficker was lashing him mercilessly with a whip. "I'll teach you to run. I'll teach you." Ji Cyan wept and begged for mercy until he lost control of his bladder from the beating. Only then did the trafficker let him go, throwing a bucket of cold water on him as he lay on the ground and ordering him to get up and get back to work. "If you can't sell it, you'd better work hard, or I'll throw you in the pot and stew you." During those years, I would receive videos of Ji Cyan being tortured almost every month. To be honest, it felt really good. 8. The year I found Ji Cyan, Chin Cece scored just over 90 points on the college entrance exam, not even enough to get into a vocational college. She couldn't afford to retake the exam, so she had no choice but to go out and find work. The people I sent to keep an eye on her would send me videos about her every now and then. Over the years, I watched her go from a factory girl to the mistress of the factory owner, get stripped naked and beaten half to death in the street by the owner's wife and her crew, and then end up dancing in nightclubs. I didn't spare her any pity just because she's a girl, because in a past life, she was the death of me, and also because all of this was her own choice. I admit I've been twisted into something utterly vile by hatred, and seeing Chin Cece end up like this gives me a sick satisfaction. Last month, I had someone accidentally stage a scene in front of Chin Cece, claiming they'd seen the boy from the G family who went missing all those years ago. Chin Cece immediately realized it was Ji Cyan, so she scraped together some more money and set off alone on a journey to find Ji Cyan, and wouldn't you know it, she actually found him. She had to find him, but they didn't go straight back to our house. My people informed me that after Chin Cece brought Ji Cyan back, she settled him in her small rented apartment. The two of them were carrying on like rabbits in there every single day. It wasn't until my military training ended that Jo Su came to pick me up and take me home. The moment I got home, my parents came out to greet me. "Let me see, did you get a tan?" My mom looked me up and down, then nodded. "Not bad, my daughter is still fair and lovely." My dad walked over with a smile. "So what if my daughter gets a little tan? Her skills speak for themselves." Over the past few years, I've learned a great deal working alongside that genius, Jo Su, especially this summer during my internship. I even landed a major project, all with Jo Su acting as my strategist behind the scenes, but he never took credit for it. My parents never knew, and simply thought I was capable on my own. Of course, I do have my own abilities. After all, having been given a second chance at life, I devoured all kinds of knowledge with a voracious appetite. My efforts were certainly not in vain. My parents had long since decided to hand the company over to me. They had no other choice. "Sir, madam," the house servant rushed in, breathless. I knew it. The show was about to begin. Young master, there's a man outside who claims to be Master Cyan. The young master has returned." "What?" My parents were both startled and hurried out the next second. Their retreating figures did look quite anxious. Jo Su naturally knew about our family situation. Seeing me rooted to the spot, he stopped and turned back to ask, "That must be your brother. Aren't you going out to see?" "Of course I'm going out. How could I possibly miss such a spectacular scene?" I stepped out. But when I reached the entryway, I noticed that Jo Su, for once, hadn't moved. I turned back and met his profound gaze, which seemed to hold a hint of inquiry. I raised an eyebrow. "What's wrong?" Zhou Su didn't answer my question. He just concealed the true emotion in his eyes and caught up to me. Let's go. 9. From a distance, I could already hear the earth-shattering wailing at the main gate. Mom, Dad, it's me, your son. I walked over, just like in my previous life when they saw me. My parents didn't show any immediate excitement, not even a hug upon our reunion. At this moment, Ji Xian was skin and bones, his appearance completely changed, bearing no resemblance to his former self. It was my mom who snapped out of it first. Don't get worked up, just take your time and explain. Qin Sisi chimed in from the side. Uncle, Auntie, maybe we should go inside first. Xian must be exhausted from the long journey. Hearing this, my parents exchanged a glance and finally led Ji Xian back inside. As she passed by me, Qin Sisi shot me a provocative look, as if to say, I've brought your brother back. Your easy days are over. Ji Xian didn't seem to have any particular reaction to me after falling into that raging river and suffering all these years. His mind was long gone. How could he possibly remember what I had done to him? Mom, Dad, I said coldly, standing my ground. Hearing this, both my parents turned to look at me. My gaze flickered over Qin Sisi, and I immediately frowned. He's so ugly and filthy, clearly a beggar's son. Are you sure he's my brother? Hearing this, Ji Xian flew into a rage. Fuck you, you're the beggar's son. My father barked sharply. Watch your language, you have no manners at all. Ji Xian wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but the resentment and bitterness in his heart grew with alarming speed. Who the hell are you to talk to me like that? He pointed at my father. Do you have any idea what I've been through these past 10 years? Upbringing, I was lucky to get a full meal every day. What kind of bullshit upbringing are you even talking about? My father's face flushed red with anger, but he couldn't bring himself to trade insults with Ji Xian. In the end, he could only shut his mouth. My mother pursed her lips and tried to mediate. All right, let's go inside first and talk about this. Ji Xian then pointed at me and said, you'd better watch your mouth. With that, he took the lead and strode inside, looking around as he walked and exclaiming, this place is fucking amazing. It's like a fairyland. Just talking about it made him angry again. Fuck, I'm out here suffering, and you lot are just eating, drinking, and having fun all day long. Suddenly, he turned around and pointed at my parents and me. You owe me. Suddenly spotting Zhou Su again, he pointed a finger right at his face. Who's he? No one said a word. Qin Sisi sighed and gently comforted Ji Xian. Xian, don't be angry, your parents were heartbroken after losing their son. Adopting another child was only natural. What? Ji Xian's sallow face twisted with fury. You found someone to replace me, so I've been suffering all these years while he's been living my life. Is that it? Holy shit, he cursed, lunging towards Zhou Su. My father shoved him away in one swift motion. Ji Xian lost his balance, tumbled to the floor, and immediately began wailing and throwing a tantrum. How could you do this to me, after all the suffering I've endured all these years? Enough. My father growled, cutting Ji Xian off. You watch your mouth, or get out of my house. Qin Sisi protested indignantly. Uncle Ji, he's your own son. Ji Xian also sprang to his feet. That's right, I am your son. My father paid no heed to any of it and issued a stern warning. This is not the place for your tantrums. Seeing this, Ji Xian finally behaved himself, and Qin Sisi didn't dare to say anything more. 10. In the living room, my parents were sitting on the sofa. Qin Sisi stood beside Ji Xian, who was looking around this way and that. So my family is this rich. I've hit the jackpot. I'm going to eat 10 meat buns in one go. Even Qin Sisi could barely hold back an eye roll. She spoke up to remind him, Xian, your family's assets are worth tens of billions. Forget meat buns. You could eat buns made of gold if you wanted. There are so many delicacies. You'll get to taste them all in the future. Ji Xian wiped his nose with his hand. I want steamed pork buns. I used to watch them eat, but they never gave me any. It drove me crazy with craving. I want steamed pork buns right now. My parents, left with no choice. My mother had to ask the servant to go to the kitchen and instruct them to make some steamed pork buns. The moment Ji Xian heard he'd get to eat steamed pork buns soon, he grinned from ear to ear, revealing a mouthful of dark, stained teeth, with one missing on the lower left side. My dad closed his eyes, unable to bear the sight. Ji Xian was About to plop down on the sofa, looking quite pleased with himself the moment my dad opened his eyes. He immediately stopped him. Hold on a second, Ji Cyan froze. What's wrong? What's wrong? My dad gestured at him from head to toe. Look at the state of you. You're filthy. Go take a shower first. Ji Cyan got angry again. I hate taking showers. They're always throwing cold water on me. I don't like water. My dad ignored him and continued. Pluck a hair out. We need to do a DNA test. First, do it now. Even though Ji Cyan wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, he had a strong sense of pride. He nodded as if a light bulb had gone off. I get it now. You think I'm lying to you, don't you? Jumping up and down on the spot, Ji Cyan roared. I'm not lying. I am your son. My father had only one thing to say. If you won't pull it out, then get the hell out of my house. Chin Sisi gave Ji Cyan a gentle shove. Hurry up. Ji Cyan plucked a hair and handed it to my dad. Here, take it. My father went to get a paternity test done immediately. Before the results came back, my parents arranged for Ji Cyan to stay in an empty house outside. Chin Sisi went along with him. 11. After everyone else had left, Zhou Su finally asked me, do you really hate your brother that much? I turned my head to look at him. He gazed into my eyes, his expression profound. The Ji Anning I know would never say those things. What words? Is Ji Cyan ugly, filthy, and the son of a beggar? I sneered coldly. Maybe I am exactly that kind of person. Are you so sure you know me that well? Zhou Su didn't speak, just silently watched me, the probing look in his eyes seeming to return under his gaze. I found it hard to breathe. Taking a deep breath, I told Zhou Su about the time when I was 10, and Ji Cyan took me to the river to catch fish, intending to stage an accident and drown me. As his expression hardened, I continued. He did all of this for Chin Sisi. Zhou Su remained silent. I let out another cold laugh, more of a self-mocking one. What's the point in telling him all this? Would he even believe it? I turned to head upstairs, but then, a hand closed tightly around my wrist. That was the warmth of Zhou Su's palm. I paused in my steps, but did not turn back. I only heard him say, I'll help you. 10 years. I had long since formulated my plan for revenge. There was no need for Zhou Su to get involved. Yet, hearing him say that, I was genuinely moved. It's almost laughable. I thought I'd never feel anything like being moved ever again. I turned around, meeting Zhou Su's profound gaze. But he cut me off, his voice low and husky, as if straining to hold something back. Ji Anning, I want to ask you a question. I was taken aback for a moment, then nodded. Zhou Su's low voice sounded in my ear again. Uncle Ji told me it was you who proposed to sponsor me back then. Why? This was the first time Zhou Su had asked me this question, but for a moment, I didn't know how to respond. It was my hesitation that made Zhou Su laugh. Don't want to answer, or don't know how to answer. He took a step forward, his large hand still gripping my wrist, and looked straight into my eyes. Let me answer for you. Because you loathed Chin Sisi and didn't want to give her the money, yet felt no satisfaction from the revenge, you uttered my name right in front of her, perhaps out of guilt, or something else. I suddenly had a strong urge to wrench my hand free from Zhou Su's grip, yet he clenched my wrist tightly, refusing to let go, and took a step closer, crowding me. You didn't pity me, nor did you have even a shred of affection for me. I was just a name you tossed out in the moment. It could have been anyone, not necessarily me. I'm right, aren't I, Ji Anning? I wrenched my hand free from his grasp with all my strength. What right do you have to be upset when I'm giving you money? I hadn't even realized how blatantly flustered and angry my voice sounded. Zhou Su simply lowered his gaze, uttered a faint, I understand, and left. I told myself to just leave him be. It's not like I wronged him, he's just being overly sensitive. But that night, lying in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep well. It's all Zhou Su's fault. What's gotten into him all of a sudden? 12. The test results are in. That man who looks like a dark monkey is Ji Cyan. But my parents weren't happy about it at all. They brought Ji Cyan home and first settled him in the servants' quarters. Once your room is all tidied up, you can move upstairs. Ji Cyan wasn't too picky about his living arrangements yet. He plopped down on the sofa like he owned the place and called over the servant from the other day. You, go tell the kitchen to make me some more pork buns. Load them with meat. Don't put any vegetables in there. I can't stand that stuff. The servant looked at my parents, though embarrassed, My parents nodded. My father stepped forward and said, "Get up and go back to your room. Starting tomorrow, you won't do anything else but attend lessons. You have far too much to learn." Ji Cyan, however, waved his hand impatiently. "I'm not learning a damn thing. Get out if you won't study," my father roared. "Don't think I have to indulge you in everything just because you're my son. Look at yourself. You're acting like a good-for-nothing vagrant. Do you even look like a decent person anymore?" Ji Cyan shot to his feet. "That's all your fault. You're the ones who lost me." "Who lost you?" my father bellowed back. "If you hadn't insisted on taking your little sister to the countryside to catch fish back then, we told you not to go, but you wouldn't listen. Would you have fallen into the river?" Ji Cyan had no memory of the incident. He suddenly pointed at me. "Was it you? It must have been you who wanted to take me and then pushed me into the river, wasn't it?" My father was so furious he slapped him across the face. "How dare you speak to your sister like that? Your sister was only 10 years old at the time, but she was far more sensible than you. Let me tell you, you've brought this on yourself. If you don't start." Before he could finish, the servant entered from outside. "Sir, there's a woman named Chin Cece outside, the one who came back with the young master yesterday. She's asking to see him." Before my father could say a word, Ji Cyan blurted out eagerly, "Let her in, quick." Then, beaming with joy, he told my parents, "Chin Cece is my wife. She's the one who found me and told me I'm from the Ji family. Let me tell you, that woman is something else." That very night, she and I— "Shut up." My father clenched his fists, barely holding back the urge to slap Ji Cyan again. "Your sister is right here. Watch your mouth." My mother pursed her lips in exasperation and walked over to me. "Ning Ning, why don't you go back to your room for now? So far, everything is going exactly as I predicted. Chin Cece is here too. And there's more drama to come. No way am I going back to my room. I want to see it live." Chin Cece came in. "Hello, uncle and auntie," she said, bowing to my parents. It was clear she was trying to act poised and proper, but she always came across as a bit provincial. My parents already know she slept with Ji Cyan, so they have a very poor impression of her. "Miss Chin," my mother said with a smile, "I almost forgot to thank you. Thank you for helping us find Cyan." She then asked me to go upstairs to her study, take the top bank card from the second drawer, and hand it to Chin Cece. "There's 500,000 in here, Miss Chin. Please accept it as a token of my gratitude." Chin Cece knew my mother was trying to brush her off with 500,000 yuan. In a panic, she placed a hand on her stomach and blurted out, "Auntie, I'm pregnant with Cyan's child, 13." Under my parents' stunned gazes, Chin Cece took the pregnancy test report from her bag and handed it to my mother with a smug smile. "Auntie, you're a woman too, you should be able to understand this, right?" My mother took the pregnancy test report, and judging by the expression on her face, Chin Cece was indeed pregnant. Chin Cece's every move was under my surveillance from the moment she found Ji Cyan, but didn't return him to the C family right away, instead taking him back to her own place to get intimate. I knew what she was up to when she went for her prenatal checkup. My people were tailing her the whole time. Our home has become even livelier. I just stood to the side, watching it all with a smile. Ji Cyan's gaze snapped to Chin Cece's belly. He wasn't happy because he was going to be a father, but rather, "Holy shit, I'm that good. It's only been a few days and you're already pregnant." My parents were absolutely furious. Even my mom, who's always so gentle and composed, couldn't hide her anger. Ji Cyan, shut your mouth. Chin Cece, however, smiled faintly. "Auntie, Cyan and I are truly in love. I went through hell and high water to find him and bring him back. You wouldn't stand in the way of our happiness, would you?" Of course, my mother didn't agree, but with Chin Cece right there, she couldn't just come out and say it. I stepped forward and said, "Mom, just agree to it, whether it's for money or whatever. At least she's willing to be with my brother, and she's even carrying his child. Just look at the state my brother's in. He's lucky to get a wife at all." Ji Cyan pointed a finger right at my face and stormed over, looking ready to throw a punch. "What the hell did you just say? Say that again, Uncle Ji." "Auntie Chu." A low, familiar voice rang out. Ji Cyan's movement froze mid-action. Upon seeing it was Zhou Su, his fury instantly redirected toward him. "Why is he still here?" He pointed at Zhou Su and confronted my parents. "Why is he still here now that I'm back?" I know it. You just want him to replace me, don't you? What nonsense are you talking? My father pursed his lips and warned, you'd better calm down, don't say things. You shouldn't, then, with a smile, he turned to greet Zhou Su, you're here. I knew that over the years, my parents had always treated Zhou Su like a son-in-law. They would never let a talent like him slip away. After all, so many people out there have their eyes on Zhou Su. If our family doesn't hold on tight, then it'll be someone else's family that gains a powerful advantage. Zhou Su gave a slight nod to my parents, walked over and stopped beside me, his indifferent gaze settling on Ji Xian. Are we about to throw down? His voice was flat, devoid of inflection, yet it carried an air of authority and intimidation. His presence was overwhelming. Ji Xian instantly backed down, withdrawing his hand. I'm not. Suddenly remembering he was the young master of this house, he immediately regained his confidence. Do you know who you're talking to? Let me tell you, now that I'm back, there's no place for you in this house. He came to see me. What's it got to do with you? I said irritably, grabbing Zhou Su's arm and heading out. Let's leave the rest of the time to them and let those four have their fun. 14. Zhou Su and I took a quiet walk around the residential complex, neither of us saying a word. I knew he was still angry with me. I know he came today to protect me, to keep me from getting hurt. He's protected me many times since I first met him when I was 10, so I really shouldn't have said that today. I stopped walking and looked seriously at Zhou Su. I'm sorry. Zhou Su stopped, looking puzzled. Why are you saying sorry? I refuse to believe someone as perceptive as him doesn't know why I'm apologizing. Stop playing dumb. I'm not playing dumb. Zhou Su's voice was icy, devoid of the unique gentleness he usually reserved for me. You didn't do anything wrong, so I genuinely don't know why you're apologizing. A flicker of irritation rose in me. Then why are you here? Zhou Su raised an eyebrow. His expression remained neutral, yet it carried an infuriatingly nonchalant air. If you don't want to see me, I can leave. You. His words nearly choked me. Furious, I stepped forward and kicked his shin. Stop being so sarcastic. Zhou Su let out a soft, low chuckle, the icy demeanor finally melting away as his usual gentle warmth returned. He's getting more and more infuriating, never saying a kind word the straightforward way. Why can't you just admit you were worried about me? Afraid my brother would bully me, and that you came to protect me? Yet Zhou Su started being difficult again. Do you even care about my protection? Fine, I'm the bigger person. I won't stoop to his level. Zhou Su asked me again. Can you tell me what your next move is? He really does know me well, understanding that I'm not just here to watch. I got a little tsundere myself. I'll tell you if you forgive me. Zhou Su gave a light, scoffing laugh. You've been so good to me. I'm nothing but grateful. How could I possibly be angry with you? Zhou Su. I've already apologized. My voice rose. What more do you want from me? Do you need me to get down on my knees? I am a little upset. Zhou Su sighed, the sound almost inaudible, his gaze fixed on me. How about, you try to cheer me up first? He's getting more and more dramatic, but I've already apologized. I really can't bring myself to swallow my pride and coax him. I cleared my throat softly. Are you going to listen or not? Zhou Su, I'm listening. There, that's more like it. What are you pretending for? I laid out my plan to Zhou Su. The more he listened, the darker his expression grew, until he finally cut me off. No, it's too dangerous. I can't let you. Enough with the lectures. I've got it all planned out. How could it be dangerous? Zhou Su, you weren't like this before. You used to support me in everything I did. When did you suddenly become so overbearing? Zhou Su narrowed his eyes slightly. Is worrying about you getting hurt considered overbearing? Anyway, I absolutely will not allow anyone to disrupt my plans, not even you. I don't want to keep talking to him. If this goes on, we'll definitely end up arguing. I turned and started walking back. Zhou Su followed me. I'll be staying at your place for a while. As if worried I'd refuse, he added, don't worry, I won't be a burden. It's getting cold and distant again. 15. My parents had no choice but to let Qin Sisi stay for the time being at the dinner table. I had no appetite and only took a couple of bites before putting down my chopsticks. What's wrong? Zhou Su asked me in a low voice, eating so little. I had just opened my mouth when Qin Sisi's voice rang out. Zhou Su, I really didn't expect to see you again. Do you remember me? Zhou Su merely glanced at Qin Sisi indifferently before looking away. No, I don't. Chin Cece didn't seem embarrassed at all. We were in the same grade, remember? Zhou Su replied. No, I don't. I lowered my head, pressing my lips together to hold back a laugh. This Chin Cece, with my parents and the father of her unborn child right here, was already shamelessly trying to flirt with Zhou Su. This woman sure has an appetite. My mother cleared her throat softly. Miss Chin, let's eat. Chin Cece didn't catch the implied hint from my mother to be quiet. She said with a beaming smile, Auntie, just call me Cece. We're all family here. My mother, in the evening, Zhou Su stayed over. Our family always keeps a dedicated guest room for him. Meanwhile, Chin Cece was taken back to his room by Ji Xian. Chin Cece was reluctant but couldn't refuse. She glanced longingly at Zhou Su before following Ji Xian away. I also returned to my own room and, not long after, received a video call invitation from Zhou Su. What's he doing? I answered, but he didn't say a word on the other end. I heard, first, let that Chin Cece have the baby. If it's a boy, we'll hand the company over to our grandson. The company absolutely must not go to Ji Xian. Just look at the state he's in now. He's completely useless. That's my father's voice. It sent a chill down my spine. Then my mother chimed in. A son would be best. At least the Ji family line would continue. To be honest, Ningning is capable. But if we hand the company over to her, once we're gone, won't Zhou Su just take everything from her? Zhou Su is a good man. He'd be perfect if he were our own son. But we weren't blessed with that fortune. It's actually a good thing that Chin Cece is pregnant now. Once she gives birth, we can just send her away and raise the child ourselves. Sigh, I really can't stand the sight of Si Yen right now. And with that, Zhou Su retired to his room. It was only then that he seemed to turn up the volume, saying, I understand you now. Apart from that initial pang of coldness in my heart, I feel completely unmoved now. So, Zhou Su, don't try to stop me. Zhou Su fell silent for a long moment before finally saying, all right, I'll go with you. 16. In hopes that Chin Cece will give birth to a healthy, chubby baby, my parents have truly started treating her as their daughter-in-law. Chin Cece's status in our family is now just like it was in the previous life. Even Ji Xian's standing isn't as high as hers. It didn't take long for Chin Cece to get carried away and set her sights on Zhou Su. That day, while I was in class at school, I received a screenshot sent to me by Zhou Su. It was a text message from Chin Cece, asking him to meet her outside that evening. So after class, I rushed straight back, but kept it to myself. I waited until it was dark, and Zhou Su arrived. He saw me, gave a slight wave, and signaled for me to stay hidden. Moment later, Chin Cece showed up as well. I immediately pulled out my phone and started recording. Chin Cece, thinking herself clever and imposing, got straight to the point. Zhou Su, she said, let's work together. Zhou Su asked coolly, what kind of cooperation do you have in mind? Chin Cece said smugly, I've already secured Ji Xian, you secured Ji Anning, and the entire Ji family will be ours in the future. After all, I'm carrying the Ji family's heir in my womb. The whole family fortune will belong to this child. Stick with me, and I'll give you half. How does that sound? Zhou Su didn't answer. Instead, he asked, what about Ji Xian? Him? Chin Cece sneered, her voice dripping with disgust and contempt. Look at the state of him. The very sight of him makes me sick. Once my child inherits everything, I'll kick him out of the Ji family without a second thought. She grew more and more smug as she spoke. Once I have it all, crushing him will be as easy as squashing an ant. Realizing she had shown her true colors in front of Zhou Su, Chin Cece didn't panic. Instead, she said, don't look down on me. You're just a lapdog following Ji Anning around, aren't you? You're after her family's fortune too. Zhou Su, we're cut from the same cloth. We're a perfect match. Zhou Su fell silent for a long moment before finally saying, all right. After Chin Cece left, I saved the recording, walked out, and waved my phone at Zhou Su. Thanks for your hard work. Zhou Su stood there waiting for me to approach. So, how are you going to reward me? Under the mingled light of the moon and the lamps, I saw an expression on Zhou Su's face I'd never seen before, a kind of repressed flirtatiousness. I knew exactly what he meant. For the past 10 years, I've taken Zhou Su's kindness for granted without a second thought. Looking back, I realize I've been incredibly selfish. So today, I have to tell him the truth. Zhou Su, I only love myself. That's the only way I can still live well after everyone has betrayed me and left me, otherwise, I'd end up dying a miserable death, just like in my past life. Zhou Su, I might never be able to give you the same in return. Zhou Su suddenly held me tightly in his arms, my breath hitched, the words on the tip of my tongue suddenly scattered into disarray, leaving me speechless. I only heard Zhou Su say, "You don't need to give me anything in return." 17. I started picking on Ji Cyan at every turn, hopping mad and bouncing off the walls like a monkey from Mount Amei every single day, but with Zhou Su around, my parents always side with me although they're waiting to see the gender of Qin Cici's baby, planning to hand over the company if it's a son. They can't afford to offend Zhou Su right now. Ji Cyan's hatred for me shot up like a released spring, and all of this reached its peak after Ji Cyan regained his memories, after Qin Cici went to Hong Kong to check the fetus's gender and learn she was carrying a boy. She completely let herself go. She arranged a car accident for Ji Cyan, just like how she killed me in my past life. She simply couldn't bear to face Ji Cyan anymore. In her own words, the mere sight of him now made her want to vomit, a feeling even worse than morning sickness. But Ji Cyan had a tougher fate than I did. He didn't die. When he woke up, his memory came flooding back completely. He rushed to my parents and loudly revealed the truth of what had happened back then. "It's her," he pointed at me. "She's the one who lured me into the deep water, made me fall in, and I almost drowned." My parents' shocked gazes fell upon me. Ji Cyan was filled with pure hatred, his eyes burning with a deranged, murderous glare. "Ji Anning, do you have any idea what I've been through these past 10 years? Do you?" Of course I knew. I still have the video of him being tortured. I just said, my voice trembling with hurt, "Brother, it was you who wanted to kill me. Now you're turning around and accusing me. You were the one who tried to drown me. I didn't tell Mom and Dad to protect your reputation. How can you turn the tables on me like this?" Even though Ji Cyan's mind had recovered, it still wasn't working too well. My words alone were enough to make him confess without being pressed. How did you know?" "Well, I had to die once to find out." Sobbing, I threw myself into my mother's arms. My mother's sigh reached my ears. That night, I heard my parents talking in their room again. It would have been better if Cyan had just died in that car crash. How could I have given birth to such a child? Do you think Ningning is innocent? No one knows exactly what happened back then, but what's certain now is that Cyan really did intend to harm Ningning. Perhaps Ningning ended up turning the tables on him. My father sighed. "These two children feel like complete strangers to me. It would have been better if they had both died back then." After recording, I trimmed everything else out, keeping only the first sentence my mother said, wishing Ji Cyan had died outright in the car crash. "Don't worry, these recordings and videos will all come in handy very soon." The next day, I went straight to the hospital after class and told Ji Cyan in his hospital bed that our parents had decided to give up on him and hand the company over to me, and played him the recording of my parents wishing he had died in the car crash. I also said that my parents would announce it at the company's anniversary celebration. 18. I waited and waited, and finally, the day of the anniversary celebration arrived. Actually, my parents didn't announce anything. They were just mingling with other industry bigwigs, taking me and Zhou Su along. It was at this moment that Qin Cici arrived, pushing Ji Cyan in his wheelchair. She must have heard from Ji Cyan that my parents were planning to hand over everything in the Ji family to me. That's why she came, to make sure everyone knew she was carrying the Ji family's heir in her womb. Of course, she wasn't foolish enough to say it outright. Instead, she said, "Uncle, Aunt, Cyan is your son. Now that he's back, everything in the Ji family should be handed over to him." Everyone was stunned. My parents had never been so humiliated. They hurried over and warned in a low voice, "You need to leave first." Qin Cici, with her pregnant belly, declared, "I'm carrying a son, a male heir for your Ji family. Even if you won't give it to Ji Cyan, you should give it to the son in my womb." "Shut up," my father said in a low voice, then called for someone. "Take the young master and Xiao Qin downstairs first." Ji Cyan stood up from his wheelchair and walked over to my father. "You want to kick me out?" "No way. Let me tell you, I'm at war with Ji Anning. She's the one who did this to me, and not only are you not avenging me, you're playing favorites with her." My father took a deep breath. "Ji Cyan, I order you to go home immediately. Ji Cyan's eyes were bloodshot as he slapped my father across the face. You think I don't know? You wanted me dead in that car crash. Well, I'm telling you, no fucking way. My mother gasped sharply. Ji Cyan, how dare you hit your own father? Ji Cyan showed no mercy to my mother either, striking her with another slap. You're not my mother. The sound of sharp, collective gasps filled the air. Ji Cyan has completely lost his mind, he gripped Chin Cece's hand tightly and declared, I have a son now. Everything the Ji family owns belongs to my son, which means it all belongs to me. While he was spouting his nonsense, I played the previously received videos about Chin Cece on the big screen. The edited footage of Chin Cece's conversation with Zhou Su was also shown. Ji Cyan was stunned. Chin Cece screamed as she rushed over, demanding they turn off the video. Ji Cyan stormed over in a few long strides, grabbing Chin Cece by the hair. You're not a virgin anymore. Whose child is that in your belly, you slut? He violently threw Chin Cece to the ground, sat on her stomach, and started hitting her, completely losing his mind. My parents, though wishing him dead, certainly didn't want him to kill someone in public. They rushed forward to stop him. Ji Cyan, in his complete and utter frenzy, had become the most lethal weapon of all. He sprang up, ran to the cake, grabbed the knife from it, and plunged it straight into my mother's stomach. As my father moved to help her, he drove another knife into the base of his spine. My father instantly collapsed to the floor. Chin Cece had just struggled to her feet when a blade plunged into her stomach. Blood pooled across the floor. Ji Cyan, driven into a murderous frenzy, stabbed Chin Cece to death and then turned on me. I'll kill you. This is all your fault. The next instant, Zhou Su kicked the knife from his hand. The security guards swarmed in and subdued him. The commotion ended with Ji Cyan's furious shouts. 19. My mother and Chin Cece died on the spot. My father suffered a spinal injury that left him permanently disabled, confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I moved my father into a nursing home so he could make the most of the time he had left. Realizing he had little hope left, he transferred all his shares to me. The day I assumed the position of chairman of the G Group was the same day Ji Cyan's trial began. Death penalty. The appeal upheld the original verdict. I don't know if Ji Cyan will be reborn, and frankly, it's none of my business. I just want to live this life of mine to the fullest. After leaving the courthouse, Zhou Su drove me to school. He didn't say a word the whole way, not until he stopped the car and I was about to get out. It's all over now. Just forget about all of this. My hand paused on the car door handle. I withdrew it, gave a slight nod, and smiled. I've already forgotten. I leaned in slightly. I've been thinking about something the whole way here. Guess what it is? Zhou Su turned his head to meet my gaze. What? I was thinking, I drawled slightly, how I should reward you. Zhou Su looked into my eyes. Have you decided? I nodded, and then she placed a gentle kiss on his lips. Zhou Su, this is my answer. The end. Story 2. While training in the wilderness with my sister, we came across an injured snow wolf. My sister was solely focused on contracting powerful spirit beasts and completely ignored the young snow wolf. I stayed behind, keeping him company while waiting for help, warming him with my body heat. But later, after recovering from his injuries, the snow wolf fell in love with my sister at first sight and resented me for saving him. He believed my sister would have saved him even without me. He paved the way with my flesh and blood to install my sister as the family head. Are you all right? Given a second chance at life, I deliberately ignored the expectant gaze of the snow wolf as the horde of beasts charged toward me. I spotted Gideon standing atop the high ground. He was my contracted spirit beast. He watched coldly as his kin tore me apart, until my sister arrived. That's when I saw his usually impassive face light up with fervent devotion toward her. So, his admiration for my sister wasn't just my imagination after all. I used to think it was simply because I wasn't strong enough. That spirit beasts naturally gravitate toward power, so Gideon's attachment to my sister was just admiration for a superior. So I trained relentlessly, hoping my bonded spirit beast would finally see that its master wasn't weak either. But it seems Gideon doesn't actually care about strength at all. Even when my beast taming skills reached perfection, Gideon would only offer half-hearted praise. 1. The moment father declared the clan leadership would go to whoever mastered beast taming best, Gideon's gaze toward me changed. That must have been when Gideon began plotting everything that's happening today. If elder sister quells this beast tide, The clan leadership will undoubtedly be hers, yet I never imagined Gideon would use me as bait to trigger the beast tide, all to further his own ambitions. The agony of being torn apart pierced my very soul, and before my eyes bloomed a kaleidoscope of disorienting light. The beasts panting echoed in my ears, their slobber stench clinging to my nostrils, mingled with the metallic tang of my own blood as they ripped into me. What an ungrateful wretch I'd saved, the last sight of Gideon was his triumphant look of vengeance as he watched me meet my gruesome end. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in the Tian Shan Mountains, surrounded by howling winds that sent snowflakes swirling and made my robes snap violently. I still hadn't saved Gideon, and my sister hadn't become the family head yet. Our family is the most renowned beast-taming lineage since childhood. Father taught my sister and me to become the greatest beast masters, so right after coming of age, my sister and I were sent by our father to gain real-world experience. In our previous life, my sister and I had a distant relationship, so we mostly pursued our own paths with little interaction. But on our way to Tian Mountain, we encountered a snow wolf on the brink of death. Snow wolves weren't particularly rare spirit beasts. With just one glance, my sister left with visible disdain, seeing how pitiful he looked. I decided to save him, perhaps due to severe injuries. He was losing body heat. Rapidly, I channeled spiritual energy into him while holding him close. My heavy cloak could at least provide some warmth. My sister scoffed in disdain when she saw me stopping for a mere snow wolf. I sent out a signal and stayed with the snow wolf, waiting for rescue. I've always believed spirit beasts are more than mere creatures. They're companions to their tamers. In the end, I did save the snow wolf, of course. Saving him cost me my life. Staring blankly at everything before me were all my past life's experiences, just an elaborate dream. The coppery scent in the wind revealed Gideon nearly buried in the blizzard. Dream or not, it taught me a brutal lesson regardless. Seeing me pause, my sister's startled voice echoed in my mind. Surely you're not risking your life for this beast. Indeed, to my sister, spirit beasts were mere animals. I left my sister's message unanswered. I walked toward Gideon as he watched me with hopeful eyes. He seemed convinced I'd stop for him like some naive young girl. Meeting Gideon's gaze, I brushed past him effortlessly, casually replying to my sister, "Don't be silly, it's just a wounded beast. Why should I bother with such a thankless task?" Gideon stared at me in disbelief, making a move to grab me, but I effortlessly sidestepped him. Life and death are fated. His karma isn't mine to bear. In this lifetime, freed from Gideon's presence, I successfully formed a pact with the rare spirit beast atop the snow-capped peak. The moment I reached the mountain peak, a flash of crimson caught my eye. Whether by fate or coincidence, this red fox was wounded too. Suddenly I remembered my past life, when awakened beasts gained sentience, triggering beast tides across the lands. The first to proclaim itself Demon King was said to be a red fox. Foxes and wolves are both wicked creatures, one cunning, the other treacherous. Just as I pretended not to notice, the red fox swayed toward me, prostrated at my feet, and transformed into a frail-looking girl. Her fox ears trembled in the cold wind, pitiful beyond words. "Master, I beg you, have mercy on me." Perhaps it was her striking beauty, or maybe I just wanted to see if all beasts were as ungrateful as that white-eyed wolf. My heart softened. I brought the red fox home with me. My sister returned earlier than I did. She'd formed a pact with the serpent of heaven's pool. When my sister saw me rescue an injured red fox, though surprised, she didn't say much. "Do you have a name?" I applied medicine to the fox's wounds. Her eyes shimmered like pools of water. Even as a woman myself, I couldn't help but feel my heart soften for her. "Let bygones be bygones. Since you've saved me, Master, I am now your spirit beast. Please bestow a name upon me." In my past life, when I rescued Gideon, he proudly declared he already had a name, Gideon. Looking at the red fox before me now, I couldn't help but find the situation amusing. "Any name will do. How about Little Red, then?" The red fox nuzzled my hand affectionately. "As long as Master is happy." That reminded me of Gideon. No matter if I gave him cultivation manuals or rare treasures, he'd always say indifferently, "Whatever makes you happy." Seeing my sudden frown, the fox carefully cradled my hand. "Did I say something wrong? I'm sorry." She gazed up at me with reverence, as if I were her deity. I sighed and ruffled her hair. "Don't you have any will of your own?" Seeing my anger subside, she pressed her lips together and murmured, My master is my entire world. Lifting her from the ground, I noticed how light she was, her petite frame suggesting she couldn't be more than a teenager. From now on, your name shall be Yora. Yora nuzzled closer, brushing her fluffy ears against my neck. Yora loves this name, and loves her master too. Her crescent moon eyes sparkled with laughter, the little canine teeth making her look like an innocent child untouched by worldly cares. When I checked Yora's pulse, I realized her injuries were far more severe than they appeared. Maintaining human form that day had taken every ounce of her strength. The moment I gave her a name, she reverted to her true form, a small crimson fox. I spared no effort in healing her, and while she was still vulnerable, I bound her with an unbreakable pact. Beasts will always retain their wild nature. In my current state, I couldn't possibly place full trust in a wounded spirit creature, especially not a fox, whose cunning surpasses even that of humans. When Yora woke, she said nothing about it. Perhaps she hid it too well, perhaps the death pact was unbreakable, or perhaps she truly trusted me. Master, from now on, my life is entirely yours. Her voice was like ambrosia, sweet, intoxicating, and utterly alluring. Gideon always called me by my full name, Indra. I said to Yora, my name is Indra. Yora shook her head. Anyone can call you Indra, but only I can call you master, perhaps because her wounds hadn't fully healed. Yora's pale complexion gave her a delicate charm that made my heart skip a beat. I didn't ask Yora why she chose me to be her master. What's done is done. She'll tell me when she's ready to talk. The medicinal herbs and elixirs required to nurture a spirit beast are nearly impossible to quantify, especially for a critically injured one like Yora. So during my spare time, I took up alchemy. After all, the monthly allowance is barely enough. I can't rely on such meager resources to raise Yora. Yora's face lit up with delight when she saw me refining elixirs on my own. Did you learn this for me? Could you add some honey to the pills? When I crafted elegant dresses into magical artifacts for her, Yora wore a conflicted expression too. Am I the only one who gets these, or do other spirit beasts receive them too? Every time I channel spiritual energy to heal Yora, he curls up into a tiny ball in my arms. Master, now I'll carry your lovely scent with me. Now I understand why King Zhou of Shang became a tyrant. As Yora's wounds gradually healed, his true form appeared noticeably larger than before. Feeling cooped up, let's go for a walk outside. I patted Yora's head. I never imagined I'd run into Gideon on the street, tied to a wooden post with coarse ropes by spirit beast traders. He'd lost all dignity from his past life. Come to think of it, why did I take such pity on Gideon in our previous life? As I stood frozen, Gideon caught sight of me. A glimmer returned to his ashen eyes as he gazed at me, lips parting as if forming words. I didn't need to look closely to know he was mouthing Indra. Just as I turned away, I felt a sudden tug at my sleeve. Master, it was Yora, dressed today in a tangerine mandarin jacket with 2 round buns of hair, each adorned with snow-white pom-poms dangling beside her coiled locks. Perhaps clothes make the woman, for Yora now resembled nothing so much as a lucky porcelain doll. She hooked her pinky finger around mine and glanced warily toward Gideon's direction. Master, you're not thinking of buying another spirit beast outside, are you? I couldn't help but chuckle at Yora's words. Without waiting for my reply, Yora blurted out, then I'm coming too. Let's see what's so amazing that it's stolen your very soul. I decided then to burn all those cheap romance novels in Yora's quarters. I indulged her as she skipped cheerfully toward Gideon. Seeing me arrive with Yora, Gideon's face gradually registered astonishment. Clearly not expecting me to accompany Yora on such errands, Yora looked down at Gideon, bound and kneeling at the post. Master, this snow wolf is worthless now, he said, flashing his little fangs, useless even if bought. Gideon clenched his fists at Yora's words, yet he kept staring fixedly at me, utterly convinced I'd relent for his sake. Yora pouted like a child whose favorite toy had been snatched away. What are you staring at? Keep it up and I'll gouge your eyes out. I shifted my gaze away from Gideon. Let's see how he fares this time around without me playing the sucker. Let's go. I didn't want to linger any longer. Indra, don't go. Gideon's voice was hoarse with emotion, his wounded eyes welling up with crimson tears as he stared at me. I could practically see Yora's hackles rise as she bared her teeth at Gideon. How dare you speak that name, you filthy wretch? With that, Yora moved to strike. The spirit beast merchant noticed the commotion and came rushing over. The beast merchant bowed obsequiously when he spotted the badge at my waist. "Ah, Miss Rhea, I didn't realize." His eyes darted between Yora and Gideon. I pulled Yora protectively behind me. "My child doesn't seem to get along with this brute." The merchant who'd been ready to sell me Gideon fell silent. Yes, this wretched creature has offended Miss Rhea's eyes. "Please, my lady, do look around. Perhaps something else might catch your fancy." The beast trader spoke while lashing Gideon viciously with his whip. The metallic tang of blood filled the air as a vivid crimson streak bloomed across Gideon's exposed skin. Gideon remained silent, staring at me with unyielding defiance. Irritated by the scene, I tossed the trader his payment before leaving with Yora in tow. True to her fox-like nature, Yora didn't ask a single question about Gideon, but when I got home, I saw a stepsister bringing a familiar figure through the door. "Like a bad penny," Yora muttered under her breath. Coincidentally, my sister returned from her training just then and glanced at Gideon. "Why do you all keep bringing back these half-dead strays? Indra's stipend can barely cover treating that red fox, let alone your critically injured snow wolf." I caught the fleeting hatred in Gideon's eyes when he looked at his sister. "I'm certain Gideon has returned too," yet this time, it was that notoriously wayward half-sister who saved Gideon. She had no interest in cultivation, keeping spirit beasts merely as playthings for amusement. Countless spirit beasts had perished by this half-sister's hand. Without my careful nurturing in this life, I wonder how long Gideon will survive under her care. Just as expected, the half-sister responded with a coquettish smile after her elder sister spoke. "Don't worry, elder sister, I won't treat it as a contracted spirit beast, just a little plaything for entertainment. When I tire of it, I'll pass it along to someone else." As she spoke, she provocatively lifted Gideon's chin. "I've never played with this ice-cold beauty type before." The elder sister frowned. "Stop treating spirit beasts as emotionless objects. A beast master's true skill lies in empathizing with their companions." But the younger half-sister paid no heed to her sister's words. "Beasts will always be beasts. How could animals understand human emotions? You know I've no interest in becoming some fancy beastmaster anyway, not when I've you and second sister to rely on." My sister shook her head helplessly before turning her gaze to me. "You must take good care of your spirit beast." Strangely enough, even Yora harbored subtle hostility toward my sister, yet both my sister and I are renowned as prodigy beastmasters. This shouldn't be happening. It seems the spirit beasts share some unspoken understanding among themselves. I don't know what Yora's hiding from me, but I suspect it's related to the spirit beast uprising in our past lives. But if Yora won't tell me, I won't pry. Lately, I've had this nagging feeling that my sister and father are keeping secrets from me. I'm completely clueless. "You don't seem to like my sister very much." 3. Yora paused while making lip balm for herself, then smiled. "Because I only love my master. When I was little, I had a cat with a personality just like Yora's. It only acts affectionate when it wants food from me. I wonder what Yora truly wants from me." Soon came the time for the most crucial auction of my past life. I remember this auction would feature a rare elixir, one that could strip beasts of their animal nature. In my past life, the only time Gideon ever bowed his head to me was when he begged me to bid for this elixir. This pill is called soul transmutation elixir. As the name suggests, it can swap the souls of humans and spirit beasts. Though few would bother crafting such a thing, everyone wants to remain human, especially in these times where equality between man and beast is pure fantasy. As for where the displaced human soul ends up after the exchange with a spirit beast, that remains a mystery. All these years, not a single soul has been willing to use this elixir. Gideon now wore an ornate chain fastened by his half-sister, a black leather collar studded with bone spikes that would pierce his throat without hesitation should he dare lift his head. I looked at Gideon and let out a silent, derisive chuckle. "An untamable beast deserves no better treatment, master. That snow wolf possesses enchantment magic," Yora whispered in my ear. "He's cast a charm spell on your half-sister. What you're seeing now is all illusion." While foxes are the most skilled in bewitchment arts, the snow wolves' abilities are nothing to scoff at. No wonder in my past life I let Gideon have his way with me. It seems I was already under his charm spell the moment I saved him. Yora gestured with his hands, murmuring an incantation. The half-sister jolted as if waking from a deep dream, her lips curling into a faint, almost deranged smile as she stared at Gideon. Admittedly, Gideon's current appearance did look fragile and vulnerable, perfectly tailored to the half-sister's tastes. She drew her spirit whip and lashed it fiercely across Gideon's face, then used the tip to lift his chin. "How scheming of you," she hissed, "to dare control me." Drip, blood trickled down Gideon's pale face, blooming crimson flowers upon the ground. Gideon's neck was so slender it seemed it might shatter at the slightest pressure. "What are you doing, little sister?" I stepped forward, frowning at my stepsister. My stepsister tensed momentarily, yet greeted me with a forced smile, seeing I appeared to be helping him. Gideon's face lit up with anticipation. "Anticipate away. Nothing pleases me more than watching that hopeful look on your face." Yora seemed somewhat jealous as she clutched my sleeve. "Is second sister also attending the auction?" My stepsister tried to change the subject, but I wouldn't let it go. "Did I just see you disciplining your little wolf cub?" At my question, my stepsister turned pale while Yora pressed her lips tightly together. Gideon's eyes glistened, shining with the same hopeful sparkle-eyed scene when we first met. My half-sister grew flustered. "Why yes, second sister, is something wrong?" I averted my gaze from Gideon. "If you must discipline the dog, do it behind closed doors at home. Must you air our shame in public?" Still just a crippled snow wolf, Gideon's left arm hung limp at his side. Without my intervention, his hand never received proper treatment. Of course it would necrotize. My words made him flinch, his disbelieving eyes locking onto me. My kindness toward Gideon in our past life made him forget I was always the proud second daughter of the house. Our family's vast enterprises conceal many unsavory affairs I'd rather keep from Gideon's sight, and now he can't stomach even this glimpse of the truth. How pathetic. My half-sister's face lit up when she realized I bore her no grudge. Second sister speaks true. But today's visit was precisely because my dear friend wished to see this newly acquired pet of mine. I knew that stepsister's companion, another reckless sort, who took particular delight in tormenting maimed creatures. Should Gideon fall into her hands, his fate would be grim indeed. But what concern is that of mine? I nodded and escorted Yora to my private chamber. The waiter eagerly brought me tea and pastries, and I absent-mindedly picked up a treat to feed Yora. "For, master, that snow wolf will become a menace if we don't eliminate it soon." Yora spoke hesitantly after a pause. Instead of answering, I countered, "And what about you? What's your real agenda? Why would the newly crowned king of the Crimson Fox clan stoop to becoming my spirit beast?" Yora expertly concealed her shock, maintaining the innocent demeanor of a naive maiden. "So my lord already knows, but as the wise bird chooses its tree, I found serving you to be far more convenient. Might as well ditch that whole king business." Had my spirit butterfly not trailed Yora yesterday and uncovered her tracks, I might have actually believed her words. When I remained silent, Yora nuzzled against my hand. "My lord, my loyalty belongs to you eternally." I lowered my gaze and picked up the tea beside me, realizing something was off the moment it touched my lips. Pretending to drink, I sighed inwardly. Some loyalties can never be earned soon enough. It was time for the spirit-reviving pill auction. "Do you want it?" Yora shook his head. "I'm already bound by a life-death contract with my master. What use would I have for a soul-transmuting pill?" Throughout the entire auction, I maintained an air of disinterest. Somehow Gideon managed to manipulate my half-sister's friend into bidding for that soul-transmuting pill on his behalf, just like in my past life. Only this time, the fool being taken advantage of wasn't me, but someone else. The moment I stepped out of the auction house, I was pulled into an illusion. The illusion was a frozen wasteland, uncannily similar to the Tian Shan Mountains. "Indra, I regret it," Gideon said with bloodshot eyes. "I know you've returned too. Believe me, I had no other choice." I took 2 steps back, yet he expected me to wipe the slate clean with just a feeble, "I had no choice." Truly a naive beast. So what? I was the one torn apart by beasts. I was the sacrificial offering, and where was my spirit beast? It was precisely because of my spirit beast that I ended up like this, wasn't it, Gideon? I hate you. I wish you were dead. I didn't bother hiding my hatred for Gideon. Are you wondering why I didn't just kill you? Because what I want to destroy is everything you hold dear. Gideon looked utterly devastated, his fists clenched and unclenched before he finally collapsed to his knees before me. "I'm the one who wronged you. I know I betrayed your trust before, but Yora is no saint. Whether Yora's good or not I can't say. But a snake that's bitten me once, I'll stay wary. Suddenly the scene shifted. Yora stood beside me as I found myself back on the street. Just as the two spirit beasts were about to clash, Gideon's face suddenly paled as he coughed up a mouthful of blood. The spoiled friend of my stepsister came swaggering over with curses. This damned beast can't stay still. What if it offends someone important? Truly, animals will always be animals. Both Gideon and Yora wore grim expressions. Now I understand why the spirit beasts went berserk in my past life. Yora remained silent throughout the journey. Master, how did the beast masters ultimately achieve ascension? I couldn't answer Yora's question. No Beastmaster has ascended in centuries. I've heard the Rhea family possesses secret techniques. The Rhea family does possess secret arts, but only the patriarch knows them. Next month will be the time to elect the new family head. In my past life, after saving Gideon, I devoted all my resources to him. My own cultivation stagnated while caring for him. This time around, though I saved Yora, I didn't let it hinder my own progress. My sister and I were originally neck and neck in cultivation level. But this lifetime, armed with memories from my past life, I gathered numerous rare spiritual treasures and surpassed her by a fair margin. It came as no surprise when I became the family head. When I entered the Rhea family to receive my inheritance, I finally managed to uncover the cause behind the spirit beast uprising. Their so-called secret technique was nothing more than paving their own path to ascension with the flesh and blood of countless spirit beasts. Over the years, as my father's lifespan dwindled, he secretly hunted high-level spirit beasts, using their inner cores to sustain his own life. Gideon only narrowly escaped from our father's grasp. He fled all the way to the heavenly mountains, and the last thing he saw before collapsing was my sister. It wasn't that he fancied my sister, he simply knew that with her power, if she became clan leader, he could kill our father faster and get his revenge. From beginning to end, I was completely in the dark. Gideon's hatred toward me stemmed from our father's occasional favoritism. What a laughable and absurd reason. Wispy incense smoke curled upward from the antique burner in the room. Father lay on the bed, his face deathly pale. Father, you've lived long enough. He never showed tenderness to anyone. Not me, not my sister, not even mother or any of his concubines. A beast master without compassion. How can one even call themselves a beast master? The first family precept states that a beast master must share an unbreakable bond with their spirit beast, yet gradually, this most sacred teaching faded from memory. They sought power, they chased immortality, but our founding patriarch simply desired a peaceful sanctuary for himself and his beast amidst the worldly chaos. I killed my own father with my bare hands and destroyed those enslaving spells used on spirit beasts. Yora looked at me with mixed emotions. I've broken the death pact between us, I said, gazing at her. That day, I saw you meeting with Gideon, saving Yora was merely my way of uncovering the truth. In my childhood, the revered elder of our household still presided over us. Spirit beasts and humans lived as family, with no distinction of rank or status. When did the change begin? Likely after the last great beastmaster passed into eternity. Tensions grew between spirit beasts and humans, from occasional hunting of beasts, to beasts harming people, to humans forcibly taming them through violence. 5. It's no surprise that Yora orchestrated this spirit beast uprising. Snow fell in swirling flurries, just like when I first met Yora. Master, is it worth it, for these hypocrites? When Yora and I shared consciousness, he must have sensed my revulsion toward those filthy affairs. But humans and spirit beasts were never locked in a life-or-death struggle. Once, we were companions. Yora has left, through my iron-fisted approach, I purged countless good-for-nothings from the family tree of this vast household. My half-sister approached me, trembling, as she led Gideon by the hand, pleading for mercy and swearing she would change her ways. Just as she reached to grab my sleeve, Gideon's claws pierced through her heart. Warm blood splattered across my face, its metallic tang resurrecting the agony of being torn apart by beasts. Kill me, Gideon spoke. A sudden emptiness washed over me, so I severed Gideon's tendons and threw it out of the city. My sister watched it all unfold in silence. Ever since father's death, sister rarely speaks anymore. Sister, a beastmaster's pride shouldn't be built on taming or slaughtering spirit beasts, right? Why do you think people understand less and less these days? My sister didn't answer me. Indra, you've lost your mind. When she saw me destroying the beast-taming scriptures, she reached out to stop me. Too late now. the ancient texts crumbled to ashes in my hands. My sister's retreating figure reminded me of that time she caught me keeping the stray cat, how she ran to tell father, who ended up killing my little companion. A spirit beast's life matters too. Though I was mauled by spirit beasts in my past life, the root cause was ultimately the Beastmaster's corruption. Soon, spirit beasts began gathering outside the city walls, intent on seizing human cities. The study, I gazed down at my subordinate kneeling before me, my expression cold and indifferent. After routinely listening to their battlefield report from outside the city walls, I began forming my own conclusions. There's one more thing, my subordinate seemed to gather all his courage before speaking. I begged the family head to join the campaign. Without a second thought, I rejected the request. Most beast tamers these days are good-for-nothings, so they're no match for those spirit beasts. As for other cultivators, they all care about their reputation and don't want to get blood on their hands. If it turns into an inner demon during the heavenly tribulation, it'd be more trouble than it's worth. That's why they finally set their sights on me. Before I knew it, rain had begun falling. Outside, a torrential downpour with thunder and lightning. Unlike the gentle snow of years past, this storm seemed bent on tearing the world apart. I changed my mind the moment I saw the spirit beast harming innocent people. The outskirts look rather desolate. I watched the yellow sand swirling in the wind, and the dying willow trees stubbornly clinging to their last traces of green. Rumor has it the leader of the spirit beasts was assassinated, and their army was taken over by a mysterious figure from the backyard. I observe autumn settling beyond the city walls. The autumn wind howls desolately here, bleak as death itself. In times past, poets would call this season golden autumn. For days on end, the fires of war raged without cease. Several days later, the battle is about to erupt. The spirit beast's leader wore a crimson dress, as if drenched in fresh blood. Behind the veil, her lips curled into a satisfied smile when she saw me. You've finally made your move. It's Yora, protecting innocent civilians is my duty. The feud between beastmasters and spirit creatures shouldn't spill over to others. People will die. Just as I was distracted, Yora's attack came rushing toward me. It was about to pierce my heart. Out of nowhere, Gideon appeared and shielded me. He collapsed heavily onto the ground. Too bad. I'm not buying it anymore. 6. I didn't look back, letting those spirit beasts trample him into pulp. You're ruthless, Indra. Yora chuckled, clearly not giving a damn about Gideon's death. You came to me back then because you wanted to trade my soul with that soul exchange elixir, didn't you? Yora and I were just making small talk. Yora chuckled. I was going to kill you, but then I discovered Gideon's betrayal, so I took him out. She said it as casually as if she'd just had a drink yesterday. The city's beastmasters are now showing signs of exhaustion. The city gates are about to fall. But Yora suddenly looked at me and said, how could I ever bear to harm you? The spirit beasts looked at Yora as if receiving some command, then one by one self-destructed before my eyes. Gideon spoke of past life events, so Yora was avenging me. Yora appeared to suffer severe backlash, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. I once sought to conquer the mortal realm, to carve a path for my people, but the road was too harsh. So, my lord, could you strive for my sake, ascend and remake this very heaven? Yora is dead. Inside her cherished sachet, I found the collar-eyed woven for the stray kitten we rescued as children. In this second life, I thought I'd achieved vengeance, yet it feels hollow. To fulfill my promise to Yora, I dedicated myself to rigorous training. The battle took a devastating toll. Nearly all the beastmasters perished. With the lost manuals of beast taming, fewer and fewer chose this path. I often find myself staring blankly at the collar hanging by the window. Decades later, I finally reached the threshold of ascension. Yora's words kept echoing in my ears. I shall remake the heavens. After I survived the heavenly tribulation, he asked why I sought ascension. I wish all spiritual beasts under heaven could attain enlightenment. Neither pets nor wild beasts should remain subservient to mankind. As the self-proclaimed masters of all things, humans have spawned too much evil. The heavens granted my plea. Then you shall start anew as a spirit beast. I don't think I'll ever regret this. Side story. During his tribulations, Yora found himself transformed into a kitten. She was rescued by a little girl, only to be killed by another. She truly struggled to like humans, but the first little girl would secretly share precious elixirs with her, learn to sew beautiful dresses for her, and cradle her to sleep. The warmth radiating from her body felt like a rebirth. That's why she loved nuzzling against the girl's hand. Had the girl's father not killed Yura, after Yura's death, his soul returned to the Crimson Fox, but she realized the depth of humanity's malice towards spirit beasts, so she began rallying the spirit beasts, preparing to rise against mankind, but she got injured while helping a snow wolf escape danger unexpectedly. She was saved by that little girl in the end. After all these years, she remains as naive as ever. Yura tried to guide the girl into remembering her true identity, but she seemed to have forgotten. The spirit beasts pressured Yura to kill the girl, but Yura couldn't bring herself to do it. After hearing Gideon reveal the fate of the girl in her past life, Yura began questioning his decision for the first time. Perhaps she shouldn't have turned against humanity, but reason prevailed. She led the girl to uncover her father's atrocities, expecting her to shield him, only to watch in shock as the girl slew him with her own hands. Yura's resentment suddenly faded. When they met again, Yura found himself opposing the girl. Unable to bring himself to harm her, Yura staked everything on the girl after helping her kill Gideon. Fortunately, his faith in her proved well placed. Indra, keep training hard. We all have bright futures ahead of us. Really, Sister Yura, does that include us spirit beasts too? Absolutely, that day will come. Story 2. On the afternoon of the zombie outbreak, the man I had a crush on appeared under my apartment building. He was still wearing the watch I had given him. When he looked up at me, there was still a trace of crimson flesh hanging from the corners of his mouth. Next stop, Kinko Bay. The subway moved forward at a steady pace, and I stood up and walked to the door to wait to get off. It was rush hour, and I should have been sitting at my desk in the office, but due to my negligence in forgetting an important document at home, I was scolded by my supervisor and had to rush back to retrieve it. The subway was relatively new, yet for some reason, there was a sound of rusty iron friction as it moved. Suddenly, a scream pierced through the entire car. The man sitting next to me, who had been feigning sleep, woke up startled by the scream and, along with others in the car, exclaimed, "What happened?" I craned my neck, trying to see what was going on. The next second, a mix of screams and footsteps hurried from a distance, the bizarre noise making my heart pound. Other passengers in the car also stood up, retreating backward, driven by an unknown fear. Someone had already run over, shouting as they sprinted, "Run, run!" Everyone instinctively rushed towards the back of the car, and I unwittingly followed. Just as the subway slowly stopped and the doors opened, I followed the crowd and stumbled out of the car, running to the escalator. Unable to resist, I glanced back and saw a sight I would never forget. A group of people covered in blood. They made strange noises, reaching out with twisted postures towards the fleeing people. Some were caught, their gaping mouths biting into the skin, the screams of agony chilling to the bone. More and more people were bitten, and they moved in groups towards areas with living people. I was stunned. Someone grabbed my ankle, and in fright, I screamed and frantically kicked twice to knock them down, then rolled and crawled along with the crowd. 2 kilometers from the subway station was my rented house. Nowhere was safe. I had to go home first. In college, I needed 4.5 minutes to run 800 meters, but at that moment, I seemed to have all the strength in my body. Madly running back to my neighborhood, closing and locking the door in one go. I locked the door and even moved a cabinet half my height to barricade it, then quickly started collecting water in a basin and checking the supplies I had at home. I had stored plenty of masks, but only had some frozen food, a lot of snacks, and more than half a bag of rice left. Unable to prepare everything in time, I turned on my phone to search online to figure out what exactly was happening. Outside the house, there were numerous screams and sounds of tearing, which initially scared me enough to cry out, causing the zombies to furiously bang on my door. I tried my best to keep quiet. Fortunately, I had earplugs handy due to my poor sleep, and I quickly stuffed them in my ears to block out the noise. On social media, people had posted related videos, but the comments were dismissive, saying things like, "Is this a movie shoot? Looks so real," and "Boring, why create such spectacles for attention?" No one believed it, so there was no useful information to be found. Feeling frustrated, I decided to stop looking at those and searched for keywords related to rescue efforts. There were no relevant entries, only some analyses about movies. I kept scrolling through my phone for information, and a few hours later, finally, more content appeared, and the comments were not as jarring. Still, there was nothing about rescue or handling the situation. Suddenly, the internet started to buffer. The internet was down. I hurriedly tried to call colleagues, friends, and family. But there was no signal. I had lost all contact with the outside world. With great trepidation, I slowly peeked out of the window. I was on the 4th floor, so I didn't worry about zombies reaching up here. Below were blood and bodies everywhere, with about a dozen zombies twisting and wandering around. I covered my mouth, fighting the urge to vomit. A zombie was tearing at the flesh of a corpse, and if it weren't for the fact that it was devouring a human, the sounds could have been mistaken for someone enjoying a delicacy. Trying to ignore the nausea, I looked away, only to notice something eerily familiar on the wrist of the flesh-eating zombie. A watch. I had given Yale the same type of watch. Yale was the person I had been secretly in love with for 2 years. Suddenly, as if sensing something, the zombie lifted its head and our eyes met. In the next second, it frantically dragged the corpse it was munching on behind a car, out of my sight, despite the blood smeared all over his face and his pale, distorted features. I knew it was Yale. He had been bitten too. Unable to watch any longer, I slowly sat down on the ground and tears began to flow. When strangers turn into zombies, all I feel is fear and horror. But now, it was Yale who had turned into a zombie, the person I genuinely cared for, and that feeling of helplessness tore through me. I had liked Yale for 2 years. He was a notable figure in our school, and I fell for him because of a seemingly silly reason. He had given me his umbrella one rainy day as we left the library. For that reason, I had cherished my feelings for a long time, working hard to improve myself and hoping to stand by his side someday. On the eve of graduation, I mustered the courage to give him a watch I had bought with my earnings from a part-time job and confessed my feelings to him, but he rejected me, of course. Why would someone like him be interested in me? I had thought foolishly that if I just tried hard enough, I could be with him. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was my good friend Maxine. There was a signal, to my great relief, and I quickly answered the call. Maxine was crying, asking if I was still alive, whether I was at home. She was trapped in a shop, terrified, wanting to come to me, asking if it was safe. I bravely glanced downstairs, perhaps because the area had been quiet. The zombies that had been wandering around were now out of sight. Maxine worked at a renovation store near my house, only a couple of 100 meters away, but the journey was fraught with uncertainties. Hesitating, I said, "There are none downstairs, but I can't be sure. Please, Mavis, you don't want me to die, right? I promise, I won't take any of your things. Just feed me a little each day, and I'll survive." Moved by my friend's plea, I gritted my teeth and said, "Come over." About 10 minutes later, Maxine was knocking on my door. I peered through the peephole and indeed, it was Maxine. Surprised by her quick arrival, I hurriedly unlocked the door. Forgetting there was a cabinet in front, Maxine managed a weak smile. "Mavis, Maxine, wait a second, let me move this cabinet." As I bent down, I suddenly heard the eerie moans of a zombie. Startled, I reflexively shut the door. "Open the door, Mavis." Maxine desperately pounded on my door. "Are you trying to kill me, Mavis?" Maxine was still outside. In a panic, I remembered and scrambled to open the door, but instinctively glanced through the peephole and froze. The howling zombie was Yale, now at my doorstep, yet for some reason, he didn't advance further. Maxine, terrified, screamed and huddled in a corner, waving her arms frantically. Yale didn't move forward but just shouted chaotically towards our door, flailing his right hand around. Outside were my male idol and best friend, both turned into zombies, and at that moment, my legs went weak with fear. Yet I still managed to open the door. Maxine was still outside. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Maxine lunged at me like she was grabbing a lifeline, causing Yale to howl even louder. The cabinet wasn't moved aside, and Maxine desperately squeezed herself towards it. I was about to help her when I saw Yale frantically waving his right hand and crying hoarsely. Suddenly, I understood something and let go. "Maxine, let me see your right hand." Maxine had kept her right hand hidden in her pocket the whole time. Her expression turned weird, her eyes narrowed, and her teeth seemed to clash. "What are you talking about, Mavis? Just pull me in." Her face gradually twisted, and her neck bent at an unnatural angle. She desperately clung to the cabinet by the door, pleading, "Pull me in, Mavis." She had mutated. My mind went blank. My first reaction was to push Maxine out with whatever I could find, but her mutated strength was terrifying. I had no way to resist. While I hit her trying to figure out what to do next, the next second, someone dragged Maxine away. I quickly shut the door, gasping for breath. Through the peephole, I saw Yale and Maxine biting each other, with Maxine's right wrist a bloody mess. She tried to bang on my door again, and Yale roared and bit her neck. I couldn't bear to watch any longer, despairingly relocking the door until the screaming outside gradually ceased. Maxine was dead. I took a deep breath, not shedding a single tear. The apartment I rented was in an old campus area, a two-bedroom flat. Most of the residents in this community were elderly and working professionals, so when the zombie outbreak occurred, there weren't many people around. They were either out for a walk or at work. The only ones likely to have returned alive were lucky ones like me. I lifted my phone to find a signal. I had just spoken to Maxine when the network temporarily connected. Online, people advised survivors to find safe places to hide, prepare food, water, medicine, power supplies, and, ideally, some handy weapons at home. I had alcohol, cold medicine, antibiotics, and my power banks and computer were all charged up. Survivors said the government had initiated emergency plans to clean and rescue, but this situation wasn't just happening in our city, it had erupted in different cities nationwide, so waiting for rescue could take at least a month. If things got worse, it could even be a year or more. The food I had could last about a month and a half. If I rationed, maybe 2 months. That was my limit. After calculating, I suddenly felt how foolish it was to have let Maxine in, and I harshly slapped myself. Thankfully, Yale was there. Online, they say zombies have no emotions, no reason, no consciousness. Did Yale know it was me? He probably didn't, but he indeed hinted that Maxine had been bitten. Suddenly my head began to ache terribly. The messages I sent out, whether to colleagues, friends, or relatives, went unanswered, and after Maxine died, the signal and network went out again. Night gradually fell. I cooked some rice and made simple rice balls, eating a small one myself and storing the rest in the fridge. After finishing all this, I lay down on my bed exhausted, planning to sleep first and think about what to do tomorrow. When I woke up in the early morning, something knocked on the window. Warily, I grabbed the weapon I had prepared the day before, a broomstick with the brush removed. Rudimentary, but it was something. I slightly pulled back the curtain and saw a basket hanging from a rope. It had a message. This is Chin Jun from the 7th floor. Are there any survivors? I need some food. Please help me. I remember Chin Jun from the 7th floor. He's a fitness coach. Probably only had protein powder at home, which is why he's asking for help. But after what happened with Maxine yesterday, I decided it's better to mind my own business and ignored him. I'm barely managing myself. I can't afford to play the savior for others. Once again, I checked my phone for a signal, but there was still nothing. I ran to the living room and peeked through a small gap in the curtains. Observing the scene below, a zombie covered in blood was blankly sitting on the roof of a car. When he saw me open the curtain, he seemed to smile, but then quickly lowered his head in panic, covering his face in a strange posture. It was Yale. My heart sank, and I almost burst into tears. If it weren't for this encounter, I would have thought we'd lost touch after graduation. I thought he had gone home to take over his family's estate. I never imagined he'd still be in the same city as me. Yale, are you okay? Did you come looking for me? Suddenly, I heard the cries of zombies in the hallway. Bravely, I peeked through the peephole and saw Yale. At his feet, there was a worn-out rice bag. Was he bringing me supplies? I looked at him, tears streaming down my face. Yale, you big fool, such a fool. After Chin Jun's basket moved past our row of windows without any response, it moved on to the next building. When it reached the 6th floor next door, I heard a window open. I went to look and saw a young woman placing a box of biscuits into the basket. I remembered that a housewife lived on the 6th floor with her 1-year-old child. Mothers are indeed gentle and loving. I lay on my bed, lost in thought. I have to eat sparingly. The food won't last otherwise. I boiled the water I collected yesterday while there was still electricity, doing it in batches. Boiled water has more uses than raw water. Just as I finished boiling the last kettle, I suddenly heard the sound of breaking glass upstairs. Alarmed, I rushed to the window and saw Chen Jun daringly jumping from the 7th floor balcony, trying to enter the home of the mother and child on the 6th floor. She had given him food, yet he was betraying her trust, trying to take over her supplies. I heard the young woman screaming for help, the child crying loudly, and Chen Jun shouting angrily, "Stop crying, stop screaming." hand over the goods, madness, complete madness. It's only the second day, no one is starving to death yet, but I've already witnessed the ugly side of human nature. Aside from their voices, there was no one else. Some might have died outside, others might be like me, too scared to make a sound, but this is a bad sign, with Chin-jun setting a precedent. Who knows if others in different buildings might follow suit. In this temporarily unstable world, without strong constraints, things will only get worse. Playing dead won't help me. Once they squander the supplies in other houses, they will eventually find me. What should I do? What should I do? I'm frantic, desperate. What wouldn't a person do to survive? If there's no other way, I close my eyes. If there's no other way, should someone break my window, I can still use other things to throw them out. On the 4th floor, I don't know if a fall would be fatal. I had thought that Chin-jun would squander everything his family had before raiding again, but to my surprise, on the 3rd day, he smashed the windows of our 6th floor apartment just like before. At this rate, it was only a matter of time before my turn would come. I gripped the stick in my hand along with a wooden chair in the room. These were the only two things I had when the time came, my only means of defense. That night, my cell phone picked up a bit of signal. I searched around online, struggling to find any information. I noticed a post mentioning that the provincial capital had started setting up shelters and was looking for people interested in traveling there together. The provincial capital was 300 to 400 kilometers away, not an easy target to reach. I saw people responding to the post, some offering to bring food, others had a vehicle, and some had plenty of medicine. The original poster replied to each, asking to send their locations privately. Others commented that they had nothing to offer but asked if they could join the journey anyway. These comments did not receive any replies. I shook my head. Several days had passed, and I realized that people without anything to offer were not valued by others. Having nothing myself, I preferred to stay at home, waiting for a rescue team to arrive. On the 20th day, the window next to mine was smashed. The loud crash woke me up. By then, we had been without water for 2 days. My lips were so dry they cracked, bleeding out of fear. It seemed likely that in 3 days, or no, given the lack of water, perhaps even tomorrow, they would smash into my apartment. I forced myself to stay calm, over and over. But just 3 minutes later, I heard heart-wrenching screams from next door. It was Chin-jun. I immediately pulled back the curtain to look across, only to see a zombie savagely tearing at Chin-jun's arm. Chin-jun screamed in agony as the zombie pushed him back against the window. I watched as Chin-jun struggled and rolled his eyes back until he finally fell, hitting the ground hard. His body twitched a few times, a large pool of blood forming underneath him. Chin-jun was dead. There was a zombie in the apartment next to mine. Terrified, I was about to close the curtains and continue playing dead when I accidentally made eye contact with the zombie that had bitten the man. Yale, he glanced at me, wiped the blood from his mouth with his filthy clothes, and staggered back into the building. Chin-jun's death caused quite a stir. In the following days, others had also smashed windows to steal things, but now they had all gone quiet, fearful of unleashing a zombie like Chin-jun had. In fact, many zombies had recently wandered into our complex. Some would bang on doors and howl, appearing in various buildings. That's why Chin-jun and others only dared to smash windows, not venturing out to pry open people's doors. Most zombies seemed to wander and bite aimlessly, but Yale appeared to be conscious, something I hadn't seen in others. Every day, Yale would come and sit by my door, a behavior I only noticed a week ago. I waited for him, and finally asked cautiously, "Yale, do you recognize me?" It had been days since I last spoke, and my own voice sounded strange to me. Yale shuffled outside, clearly startled by my voice, then let out an indistinct noise. "Yale, are you still aware?" I asked. He remained silent. Perhaps my question was a bit strange. If he was lucid, why would he eat a corpse? "Yale, will you protect me?" I tentatively asked, peering at him through the peephole. He didn't speak, but he nodded awkwardly, struggling to move. It was as if he was still the proud, dazzling Yale I knew. Suddenly, I really wanted to hug him. Then the radio suddenly came to life. This old radio was left by the landlord. I had intended to throw it out but got too busy and never did. Later, when the internet was occasionally available, I heard that it was crucial to utilize radios, as it might not be long before all network communications were cut off, and radios could still receive messages. I rushed over, grabbed the radio, and listened to the intermittent voice coming from it. There are survivors, red flags, hang, visibly. I searched all over the house and realized I didn't own a single red item. All the clothes in my wardrobe were work clothes. Not even a red scarf was to be found. Had no choice but to ask Yale for help. I asked him if he could find something red. Several hours later, Yale appeared. I saw him drop a blood-stained shirt at my door with it held in his mouth before he hastily ran away. I was puzzled. How could he run so fast? I cautiously opened the door and quickly pulled the shirt inside. Only when the shirt was inside did I smell the pungent, blood-stained odor. I nearly retched, but acquiring something red was already difficult. It was probably stained with the blood of another corpse by Yale. I cut it into a rectangle with scissors and hung it on my window. While hanging the shirt, I noticed that others in the building opposite were also hanging red items, like towels and plastic bags. Seeing so many others still alive comforted me. At least in this chaos, many of my compatriots survived. I didn't know when the rescue team would arrive, but their presence would deter people like Chen-jun from acting recklessly. The rescue team was coming, but what about Yale? I felt at a loss. What would happen to Yale? He was still conscious. He wasn't a zombie, but he had eaten human flesh. What would they do to him? What about all the zombies in the streets? Without even thinking, I knew they wouldn't be developing a vaccine to return them to normal. That only left one option. I didn't dare contemplate that outcome. My food was almost gone. Water had been cut off long ago. Electricity went out a few days ago, and the smell inside the house was unbearable, making me feel as dirty as a beggar. If rescued, I could leave here, at least have access to water and electricity. I wanted to survive. I really did. If I wanted to die, I probably would have jumped out of a building like some others in the neighborhood did, unable to bear it any longer. Coming from a poor background, I had survived tough times as a child. Because of this, I could endure these terrible conditions, knowing how hard it was to keep fighting for life. I wanted to live. Yale. I trembled and closed my eyes. Without Yale, I would have been killed by Maxine, robbed by Chen-jun, or perhaps unable to find a red flag to signal for rescue. Yale was also important to me. Did he know? Did he know that by giving me this shirt, I would leave him? He knew. Tears streamed down my face. I took down the red shirt from the window. If hardship was inevitable, I wanted to follow my own path. I had also opened the door. As expected, Yale was sitting in front of my door. He seemed startled as I opened the door. Through the wide-open doorway, his pale pupils revealed the empty window behind me. He let out a hoarse scream, pointing at my window in a bizarre manner. He probably wanted to ask why it wasn't covered. I said, "Yale, bite me. If he bit me, I could live on without needing rescue." Yale froze, and the next second, he erupted into an angry scream. His voice was piercing and sharp. Hearing such a scream up close made my legs tremble with fear. But I forced myself to stay calm. Soon, I would become one of them. I needed to get used to it. Yale kept screaming as he backed away. Eventually stumbling and running down the stairs, I collapsed onto the floor, covering my face. After a long while, I finally got up. I lay quietly on the bed. There was nothing I could do but lie there. Several hours had passed since Yale ran away from my door. During that time, I checked through the peephole several times. He never came back. Had thought about going out and letting some random zombie bite me, but the thought of facing that horrifying sight made me cringe. If Yale bit me, perhaps it wouldn't be too cruel. Suddenly, I heard screams from downstairs. I ran to the window and saw Yale tearing at a corpse, shrieking as he ripped. There were many other zombies around, all feasting on the body, the disgusting sight making me retch uncontrollably. He did it on purpose. He wanted me to see this too, isn't it, Yale? But it was indeed effective. I was scared. Afraid of being bitten, afraid of becoming like them. In despair, I hung up the red shirt again. Seeing the red shirt, Yale staggered away from the crowd of zombies. 9. The rescue team arrived. They started by flattening the open space in front of the residential building with bombs that weren't very lethal, killing and driving away the zombies surrounding the area. Then, the rescue team shouted through loudspeakers, calling survivors to come out, and they would escort them from the hallways marked with red flags to the rooftop for evacuation. The moment had finally arrived. When the bombs exploded, I was so worried that Yale had died, but when I opened the door, Yale was standing outside. He seemed to want to smile at me, but instead, he opened his mouth wide to reveal a bloody maw. I don't know where the courage came from, but I rushed over and hugged him. Yale, my Yale, tears streamed down my cheeks, falling onto his clothes. He let out a soft moan, his skin trembling slightly, his mouth agape. Just then, armed rescue workers arrived at the hallway on my floor. Ma'am, are you a survivor? Please come quickly. Their guns were aimed straight at us. I shielded Yale's body. I couldn't let them kill him. Comrade, he's still conscious. Please don't kill him. Ma'am, are you with a zombie? Ma'am, please confirm if you've been infected and come quickly. The rescuer raised their voice and aimed their gun. I didn't move. I couldn't convince them. But I couldn't let them kill Yale. Hiss, ah. Suddenly, Yale leapt up behind me, his jaws wide open as he lunged to bite me. Instinctively, I screamed and ran forward. In the next instant, a bullet fired from the rescuer's gun, silencing Yale's voice as if someone had hit the pause button. The rescuer hurried over to support me as I weakly turned my head. A bullet hole appeared in Yale's head. His face seemed to wear a smile as he fell straight backwards. Yale? I screamed his name, heartbroken. Yale's side story. What rotten luck. I was just diligently working when suddenly, a zombie burst in and bit me. After the bite, I was dazed, mindlessly joining the bitten in attacking others, my consciousness flickering on and off. After aimlessly wandering several streets, I suddenly remembered that Mavis might be nearby. How is she doing? I really wanted to check on her. With the last shred of my sanity, I twisted my way towards her home. I had noticed Mavis early on. She often studied in the library, sitting diagonally across from me, though she never looked up at me. I noticed she always chose the cheapest meals in the cafeteria and wore the same faded jeans. Her family wasn't well off, and over time, seeing her struggle stirred my empathy. I really wanted to help her, but I didn't know how. One rainy day, seeing her hesitating at the door, I pushed my umbrella into her hands. Getting sick from the rain would only lead to more expenses. She was a diligent student, always earning scholarships. Since I gave her the umbrella, I knew she felt differently about me. After all, many girls felt that way about me. On the eve of graduation, she gathered her courage and confessed her feelings to me. I rejected her, and we lost touch thereafter. After graduation, we ended up in the same city. She didn't know what I did or where I lived, but I knew she worked in planning at a major company and rented in this old neighborhood. I stumbled into her neighborhood, driven by a crazed hunger when I saw the corpses, uncontrollably devouring what was before me. Mavis, there she was, looking right at me. No, I couldn't let her see me like this. The Yale Mavis liked was proud and handsome, not the creature I had become. I thought, maybe Mavis was wondering why I was here. Back at school, I wanted to confess, but was too nervous. Even though I knew Mavis liked me too, she wore a beautiful floral dress the day she confessed. I was genuinely happy, but I could only reject her. There was no other choice, because just an hour before her confession, my mom had called. Our family was bankrupt, and my father, in despair, had jumped off a building. I was no longer the proud Yale. I was just a mess. I couldn't offer Mavis a future anymore. Her life was hard enough, and together, we would only have made things worse, eventually growing to despise each other. So, I rejected her. I should have returned the watch she gave me, but selfishly, I kept it. I couldn't be with her anymore, but it was a gift from her, so I kept it as a memento. I almost want to thank this sudden turn of events. I don't have to worry about debts or work anymore. I just need to watch over my Mavis. I'm so hungry. I feel like biting someone, but I can't bite anyone. Mavis would hate me. I wanted to bring some food back to Mavis, but as a zombie, I couldn't control my own movements. I struggled to drag a bag of rice from the supermarket, but the distance was too great, and the bag tore. As I struggled up to the 4th floor, there was hardly any rice left in the bag I was carrying, which had spilled along the way. Suddenly feeling overwhelmed and powerless, I sat down and cried, though only hoarse. Strange sounds came out. There was nothing I could do for Mavis. From Mavis's radio, a broadcast requested that any survivors hang a red flag in a conspicuous place to await rescue. Realizing we had nothing red at home, I was about to leave in search of food when Mavis timidly called out my name, asking if I could find something red for her. I responded vaguely. Staggering into the street, I passed by shop after shop. Many had been cleared out by other survivors while we, the zombies, were away. I remembered seeing red towels for sale in the first supermarket we raided. Lost in my search, I noticed a clothing store with white shirts on display and decided to look inside for anything red. Unexpectedly, someone tackled me from behind, biting into my shoulder. Zombies don't feel pain, but the liquid dripping from his mouth was highly uncomfortable. We struggled fiercely. He was strong, and I hadn't eaten. I was at a disadvantage. I don't know how long we fought, but eventually, I won. I crawled into the clothing store with difficulty and searched to no avail for a red shirt. Grabbing a white one, I pressed it against the wound the zombie had made on my shoulder. Fortunately, I could still bleed, which meant I could dye the shirt red for Mavis. I clenched the shirt in my teeth, planning to find my next meal before delivering it to Mavis. However, when I returned to our neighborhood with the shirt in my mouth, I was suddenly confused. Red, survivors, rescue. If Mavis displayed the shirt, she would be rescued. That meant I couldn't stay with her anymore. I just wanted to be near her, think of her. No, I couldn't give her the shirt. I couldn't. I would lose Mavis, but I was already like this. How could I deprive Mavis of the right to live properly? I struggled painfully for a long time but eventually gave it to her, yet this foolishly brave girl wanted me to bite her. Survive, you survive. My consciousness was fading, and I spent most of my time wandering aimlessly with other zombies. Only the sight of Mavis brought me back a bit. Mavis hugged me. I wanted so badly to hug her back. Silly girl,